JJHB32QQQCMOC at puzzmail.com insight into power and commercial enterprise years later. The One's training could help him create one among TV's most iconic characters, Jane Ying. Even as a teenager, Larry had a manner of watching human beings, reading them, figuring out what made them tick. After graduating in 1949, he went to Bard College in New York to study drama and dance. The college became complete of artists, tune, and free thinkers. It turned into not anything like military faculty, and he loved it. But shape wasn't his strong fit. After 12 months, he dropped out and went straight into the sector of appearing equipped to tackle whatever came subsequent. Larry Hagman's adventure into acting commenced in 1950 at Margot Jones's Theater within the Spherical in Dallas. It turned into his first real step into the arena of theater, an area that could form the rest of his existence. A year later, he landed a role in The Taming of the Shrew at New York City Center, directed by Uzi Margaret Webster. The production gave him the risk to paintings with a number of the exceptional inside the Enterprise. It wasn't a starring function, but placed him on the proper direction. That identical year, he took an excellent bigger step. He traveled to London to enroll in his mother within the West End manufacturing of South Pacific. The show became already a huge achievement. Jogging for nearly 2 years with over 800 performances, Hagman had a small speaking function and also performed in the refrain, but being part of something that large turned into a revel and he could not have gotten everywhere else. His mom, Mary Martin, performed the lead position of Nellie Forbush to what it virtually intended to be an expert actor, he discovered, by using watching, listening, and doing in 1952. Just as he changed into locating his footing in the theater world, he turned into drafted into the United States Air Force. His service ought to have pulled him far from appearing absolutely, but instead it sent him down a distinct path. He turned into stationed in London, in which he have become a part of the Special Offerings, a unit that entertained American troops. He failed to simply perform. He produced and directed suggests visiting throughout Europe to deliver stay leisure to servicemen. He became mastering how to control productions, paintings under pressure, and prepare performances that connected with an audience. The Air Force also modified his life in another manner. Even as stationed in London, he met Madge Axelon, a Swedish garb fashion designer. The two fell in love and married in 1954. By the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, by the time Hagman finished his service in 154, 956, he had not best received Precious and Joy, but had additionally commenced a own family returning to New York. He jumped right, returned into performing. He executed in each broad manner and off-Broadway productions such as Comes a Day and The Fearful. Set his reputable Broadway debut Got Here in 1958 with God and Kate Murphy TV, changed into beginning to grow to be a larger part of the enjoyment industry. Hagman never absolutely stepped far away from theater. It remained a constant in his profession, a place where he may want to usually go back. His first regular activity in TV came inside the early 1960s. When he joined the soap opera The Edge of Night, he performed an ordinary role from 1961 to 1963, working on a soap opera. Become demanding. It required short memorization, emotional performances, and the capability to hold up with fast-shifting storylines. It became a crash path in television acting. Then, in 1965, the whole thing changed. He landed the position of Major Tony Nelson in I Dream of Jeannie. The display paired him with Barbara Eden, who performed a mischievous Jeannie. determined to make his life as chaotic as feasible. The chemistry among them turned into immediate display, had become successful, running for 5 seasons and turning Hagman into a acquainted face in houses across the U.S. The tale started out with Tony, a U.S. Air Force captain, crash touchdown on a deserted island at some point of a space mission whilst exploring. He observed an antique bottle and popped the core. Now, not anticipating what could show up next, a cloud of crimson smoke poured out, and all at once there she turned into Jeannie, a 2,000-year-old Jeannie, played with the aid of Barbara Eden. From that moment, his lifestyles turned into never the equal name Joy, become head over heels for Tony from the begin, calling him grasp and doing the whole lot she ought to make him satisfied. The hassle was her concept of assisting generally made things worse. She turned simple situations into chaos, along with her magic, leaving Tony to cover up her tricks earlier than each person found out he desired a regular life. And figuring out which person found out he desired a regular life and a successful career inside the Air Force, but that become almost not possible with Jeannie around. Irrespective of how frequently he informed her to stay out of trouble, she usually determined a way to make matters thrilling. Hagman played Tony because the critical rule-following officer, who changed into usually one step, far from losing his thoughts, his potential to react to Jeannie's wild thoughts with frustration and disbelief made the display even funnier over the years. Tony's emotions for G began to trade before everything. He saw her as a handful, a person he needed to control. But because the seasons went on, he softened. By the 5th season, the two were given married, a selection that split fans. A few thought it changed into a natural progression, while others consider it ruined the chemistry that made the show so a laugh to look at. After I Dream of Jeannie premiered in 1965, it fast became successful. NBC wanted a display that would compete with Bewitched, and they were given precisely that. Visitors loved the paranormal mischief, and the display landed within the Neon Pinnacle 30 inside its first season. However, for Hagman, the achievement wasn't always smooth. After the show ended in 1970, he struggled to move past the function. Hollywood noticed him as Major Nelson, and getting cast in something special wasn't clean off display screen. Matters have been far from ideal. At the same time as Hagman and Barbara Eden had first-rate chemistry, on Digicam behind the curtain he turned into unpredictable. He wasn't glad with the scripts and felt like Eden's man or woman had more attention than his own. Frustrated and overwhelmed, he turned to alcohol and drugs. His conduct have become a problem for the Forge and crew, and his on-set antics have become legendary. Some days he showed up inebriated. Different times he took LSD earlier than filming. He once arrived sporting a gorilla in shape just to debris with all of us. Another time he grabbed an axe and started shouting at the team. However, the most stunning moment got here whilst he urinated at the set furniture out of frustration. Eden later admitted that running with Hagman will be hard. His mood swings and unpredictable outbursts made filming difficult. However, she continually respected him as a pal and actor. The situation were given so horrific that NBC introduced a therapist to assist, although the plan backfired. Whilst the therapist certainly recommended Hagman's drug use, thinking it'd assist him loosen up. At one factor, executives taken into consideration firing him. However, they knew the show wouldn't paintings without him years later. Hagman regarded again on that point with remorse. His drinking and drug use had hurt his career, his health, and his relationships, but in spite of the whole lot, his performance on display screen by no means suffered. Regardless of what became taking place behind the scenes, he brought past the drama. I Dream of Jeannie left a long-lasting effect. The display got here out throughout the 1960s, a time while conventional gender roles have been being questioned at the surface. Jeannie seemed like the precise instance of a girl who existed handiest to serve her man. But in truth, she was the one with the power. She may want to make something happen with a blink, and Tony, despite being in Price, spent most of his time trying to manage the chaos she created. Not the whole lot about the display aged well. Jeannie's dress and backstory played into old stereotypes, romanticizing Middle Eastern tradition in a way that Hollywood had accomplished for years, but despite its FLA, the show remained a favorite for decades. The magic might have been fictional, however, the impact it left on TV turned into very actual. Larry Hagman changed into already a well-known actor before Dallas got here. Along But no person predicted how a good deal one function might trade the whole thing earlier than getting into the world of ruthless oil offers and circle of relatives feuds. He was the charming astronaut Major Nelson in I Dream of Jeannie. That show changed into lighthearted and complete of magic tricks. Dallas became the complete opposite. It changed into drama, betrayal, and power struggles, and untouched by city light in the beginning. Hagman loved dozing up there underneath the open sky. However, over the years he stopped the use of it. Guests, however, could not get sufficient of it. After events and overdue nighttime. Gatherings 20. Many might climb up and spend the night time beneath a blanket of stars, but there was one trouble. Bats had moved in. Guests often discovered them nesting in the RAF, adding an eerie twist to the tower's allure. Hagman didn't appear to mind. He had a way of laughing off matters that would trouble maximum humans on a couple of event. He in reality brushed bat droppings off the bed and invited guests to take a seat. Traffic often ended up helping clean up, but regardless of the mess, the tower remained a favorite spot. The view was too stunning to resist, and on clean nights the sky stretched endlessly above. Untouched with the aid of city lights, the bats had been simply one part of the flora and fauna that roamed heaven. Cougars, bears, and coyotes have been normal visitors to the estate for all its luxurious sat proper within the middle of nature, but that became part of its magic. Hagman embraced it all, seeing beauty even inside the things that others might find inconvenient within the residence. Things had been simply as strange in his bedroom. A mattress hung from cables suspended 36 ft in the air. It wasn't only for look, the design allowed it. Swayed gently with the breeze, giving the feeling of floating for the duration of the residence. Weird artwork filled the partitions. Some portions were surrealist artwork. Others have been sculptures with unusual shapes and sudden designs. Nothing changed into normal. Every piece had a tale, and Hagman cherished using them to begin conversations at his well-known events and fundraisers. After Hagman passed away in 2012, the residents discovered another aspect of him. Family photos blanketed the walls, showing now not simply his Hollywood existence, however, also the deep bond he shared together with his wife, Madge Axelson, and their kids. Memorabilia from Dallas Become Anywhere, which include pics of Jock Ying, the fictional patriarch of the Ying-owned family. The position of Junior Ying had made Hagman a TV legend, and the reminders of it were impossible to miss. Among his property have been handwritten notes, some have been letters, others have been thoughts, approximately existence, fame, and the instructions he had discovered. They provided a glimpse into a person who had modified through the years. He had long gone from Hollywood wildcard to a passionate recommend for organ donation after his 27-29 liver transplant in 1995. In 2013, Larry Hagman's estate, known as Heaven, was offered for $5 million in cash. The customer turned into a non-profit linked to the Church of Scientology. A said recognized for obtaining high-profile residences for years. This estate had been an active place where celebrities amassed for fundraisers and events. Now it became, approximately, to come to be something very special. After the acquisition, Scientology converted the estate right into a luxury drug rehabilitation center called Narconon. By 2015, it was open to customers, supplying programs that 28.5 accompanied the lessons of Scientologist founder L. Ron Hubbard. The power charged around $30,000 a month, attracting rich people, which include famous Scientologists like John Travolta and Tom Cruise. However, the treatment methods were uncommon as opposed to conventional rehab practices. Patients went through intense sauna sessions and took massive doses of vitamins. Medical examiners criticized those methods, announcing that they had no actual medical foundation. This rehab center changed into part of a far larger plan. Scientology were opening comparable facilities around the world, creating unique treatment centers that also served as recruitment grounds. Humans arrived searching out assist. However, they were also added to the Notion gadget at the back of the program. As extraordinary as this modification became, rumors advised there was greater to the tale. A few believed that underground vaults were constructed under the estate, designed to shop Hubbard's writings on titanium plate. Scientology had carried out this earlier than in other places, locking away his works in disaster-proof bunkers meant to remaining heaps of years. Some former members even claimed those underground websites could function shelters for Scientology's maximum maximum powerful figures in case of a worldwide disaster. There was no evidence that a vault existed under Narco-Illinois, but the estate's far-off location on Sulphur Mountain made it a really perfect hiding area over time. The church were regarded for maintaining secrets, and this changed into just one greater thriller surrounding the assets.